Welcome to Your Thoughts, Your Reality with Michael Cole, the podcast that shines a compassionate light on the journey of veterans battling through life's challenges. Michael is a dual elite certified neuroencoding specialist in coaching and keynote training presentations, dedicated to guiding military veterans as they navigate the intricate pathways of post-deployment life. Join him as we delve into the profound realm of neuroencoding science, empowering these brave individuals to conquer universal battles, procrastination, self-doubt, fear, and more. Together, let's uncover the strength within you to re-engage with families and society, forging a new path forward.
Hello, everybody. So today we have my friend back on, Robert Casteel. Super excited to have you here, Robert. Robert is a dedicated veteran with passion for helping other veterans and their families navigate the complex transition from military to civilian life, especially in relationships. He has experience in understanding the unique challenges faced by veterans during the transition period. Again, he's a vet. He's just an amazing friend, man. So, Robert, why don't you just tell us a little bit more about yourself for people that have not seen you on the show yet?
All right. So I served almost 24 years in the Army. And that when I got out from the Army, the systems were not in place to have a smooth transition into civilian life.
Right.
And the life is completely different in the military than it is in civilian. So that transition was very hard. So it took me time here, a lot of personal development that is not available, that you don't even think about when you're Army. So it's, for myself, I'm also a life coach and a relationship coach.
Yeah. So, and that's why I focus on the transition period too, because it is, and the research shows that, that is the hard part of that transition. If you don't do it right, don't get that jump start. So, really appreciate, of course, the work you do. And please tell that amazing wife of yours I said hi.
Oh, I will.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit more about what, and again, for people who haven't seen us yet, what started you on down the road for coaching, if you will?
So I was having some challenges with PTSD and some past traumas that I had, and I did not know how to deal with them. And psychiatrists at the VA just wanted to throw drugs at me.
Mm-hmm.
So a good friend of ours named Sarah Thompson, she got me introduced to Tony Robbins' realm. And I learned how to deal with my traumas then, but not in the great detail. And I started using a coach, and I learned how to deal with those traumas. And fast forward, I ended up with a guy named Sean Smith, who I got my certification through. And that's how I got a lot of the traumas healed, was through him and through neurological programming, linguistic programming.
Excellent. So, what do you think brought you? And again, I'm just, for people that don't know, I know you. We've talked a lot, but what was the draw to really coaching specifically and helping people?
The draw was I could give back, and I felt I did a lot of things in the military that wasn't always helpful to people, and that I could give back and help people now in the way I wanted to help, and to give them what they needed. Because I don't have the solution. Everybody has the solution inside them. And I just ask questions and bring that out of them so they can start down a path.
And that's the best coaching, not to get sidetracked here. And hi, Kathy, I saw you pop up there. So, when someone else has that realization, it is so much different than when someone's telling them something. That's when those results really stick. So bravo, man. Kathy's back again. I love it. Hey, so as far as I know, we're talking about human instinct and veterans and so on. So if you're ready, we can go ahead and dive on in.
Okay, sure. Human instinct. Think about primitive. When the cavemans first started, they survived strictly by human instinct. They wanted to live. when you're in human instinct, you're in survival, you're in reaction mode, and you have threats, you have fears, you have scarcity and competition, all in human instinct. So let's relate it to the military. The Army teaches us, and the Marine Corps and all of the branches teach us to take that human instinct and pull it in and use it to our advantage, but not allow the anger and frustration to set in so we can use our brain still. Because once the anger and frustration comes in, your thought process gets skewed. So we pull that human instinct. Let's think about hand-to-hand combat. You're fighting somebody hand-to-hand. You want to survive. So that human instinct kicks in, but we're still using our brain to make the right moves and to defend ourselves.
Right. So would you say that, in my experience as well, but would you say that a lot of that, like you said, it's just instinct, right? It's muscle memory, it's all those things that we talk about. But when we're in this realm, things just are, because of training and conditioning, are pretty automatic.
Yeah, so a lot of it's automatic. You train so much on so many different things that when an incident happens, automatically you go to your training.
Mm-hmm.
The more you train, when something happens, you default to that training. So if you train at a very low level, you're going to function at a low level. But if you train at a very high efficient level, like the special forces and SEALs and them do, they fall back to their training and operate in a very high efficient manner.
Absolutely. So, and this is part of you bringing this up, and I just want to mention this is really one of the core things in neuroencoding is we do these exercises to default back to our best selves, and it's literally just conditioning and reframing, if you will, neural pathways and things in the brain. So I'm really glad you bring this up. Are there some things that you teach? And let's get into relationships just a little bit, and then we're going to get into spirit. Do you, when you're coaching, are you with relationships and that kind of thing? How do you work with your clients? And of course, we can spin this to veterans and their families if we can, to kind of do that automatically. You know, I mean, you come home, and I know, our friend Dave Uloa will talk about the transition period when you get home, or whatever the case may be. But what are some skills that, you get home, you've had a shitty day, man, I just don't want to deal with anything. What are some instinctual things that we can maybe share that will bring that veteran, that first responder, human being in general, kind of back to themselves?
Yes. So one of the things we focus on is what fuels your tank. If you're an energy poor, you're going to be in human instinct.
Love that. Yeah.
So if you find something that brings you energy, i.e., go work out at the gym before you come home, or listen to some upbeat music or whatever type music you like to bring that energy back up, so you're not bringing the work home with you. The transition time is vital, and using something to bring your energy level up is the best way to do it. And there's so many different techniques out there. You can meditate, reading, you could do acts of service.
Love it. Yeah. And if are there some other thoughts there?
Yeah, you can watch inspiring videos. Sometimes to get motivation, you can watch an inspiring video.
Yeah, like this podcast.
Yeah, like this podcast. Exactly.
Couldn't help myself, man. Couldn't help myself. So thank you for that. And I think that's really vital information, because, how often, and again, we're talking about veterans and their families, of course, but it's first responders who are dealing with stuff on a daily basis. I mean, horrible, crazy things, amazing things at the same time that deal with that. So these tips and tricks, I think, will be very valuable for them. So thank you for discussing that. As far as spirit, this was another thing that you brought up you wanted to talk about. So the concept of spirit is often associated with, resilience, inner strength. How do you see spirit as a veteran, evolving post-service, if you will. Give me some thoughts there.
So post-service that's a hard transition sometimes because we're so much in human instinct. And even in society today, look how many people are driving around and walking around in human instinct. You say something that they don't like, and all of a sudden they're going off on you.
Like that.
Yeah. Drop of a hat, or road rage.
Yeah.
Is a prime example. Human spirit is acts of the heart.
Oh.
So draw yourself, what is your heart telling you? And what is it going to be for the good? So human spirit is basically an act of the heart. It's choice. It's enhancing life. It's little effort. It's happiness, and it's partnership in the marriage or relationship that you're in.
Love it, man. So how could you bring spirit more in instead of instinct? How can you stop yourself and really kind of switch that realm? Because I mean, if you're living in spirit more so than instinct, you're going to be more emotionally available. You're going to have better communication and all those things, which is super important, especially during that transition period as a veteran in their families. Any thoughts there?
Yeah. So one of the methods we do teach is called BOP. It's breathe, open your heart, and pause. If you think about when we was kids, before we got angry, or when we got angry, our parents would tell us count to 10.
Yeah.
And I never understood why. But if you take in a deep breath, open your heart up, and see what your heart's saying to you instead of reacting from your brain.
Mm.
And then just pause for a second and let it sit. Because someone might say something, someone might do something, and not realize the effects it's having on you is because of the mask you're wearing. And whatever they just did, just tugged at that mask.
Mm.
And by tugging that mask, it automatically pulls you almost into human instinct.
Love that, man. So for people that don't understand masks, can you touch base on what that means?
So we call masks as like a past trauma. Let's say driving down the road, you had a car and it almost hit you. And all of a sudden that's a trauma to you, that you were trying to cross the road in a crosswalk and someone almost hit you. So some people, that would be traumatizing. And
I get that.
so now every time you go to crosswalk, a car comes up real quick, you're jumping back.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not, that's a mask telling you, hey, react. So when someone touches a mask like that, sometimes you go into human instinct and you get angry, you get frustrated, or you go into fear.
Yeah, absolutely. So and there's a I want to share something really quick, and then we'll get back on track. There's an exercise that I do, and I do it myself, and this is how I've learned it, is when you go around and you're putting intent as in love with people, and you literally are looking at somebody like, Robert, I love you. Robert, I love you. And I think that to myself, and I do, by the way. It's not just for the exercise. But when you walk around and you do that for people within 50 feet of you, it changes everything inside of you, and it opens up your heart more, and you literally feel it. So this is the thing that I learned, and I taught myself as well as clients and so on, and we're going to teach you now. So really quick, so road rage. And my wife, I know she's rolling her eyes right now because I do this all the time. Someone cuts you off or does something, right? And automatically, obviously, instinct kicks in, right? You asshole, whatever the case may be. Sorry, I'll keep it cleaner. But all of a sudden, you're pissed off, right? And then I do this simple thing. I take that deep breath, right? Your pause, right? Your breathe. Sorry. And it's literally, this is what reminded me of it. I literally do that. I do the breath. I do the opening your heart and the pause, and didn't even know it. So I love your Bob. what I do then is I say, I love you. And I just feel it. I love you. And if I'm still not in the right place, I get goofy with it and I make myself laugh and I'm all, I love you. And literally road rage is gone by the third time. It's really a cool thing, but it literally is opening that heart space and exactly what you just talked about. That's fantastic, Robert. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah. So also with spirit, that it's hard to be in human spirit if you are energy poor.
Mm,
It's you can be, but it's very challenging because it's you're energy poor. You don't feel like talking to nobody. You don't feel like doing something, and all of a sudden someone comes up and says something that, hey, you got to redo this chart. You're at work and someone says, hey, you got to redo this chart, and you're just not it, and just all of a sudden you're going off on them for no reason.
yeah.
And it's like, oh, where'd that come from? So the bop really helps a lot in that. It helps you get back into spirit or get you to spirit, and just paying attention to what fills your tank, what gives you joy in the world.
Yeah. So how are some ways you bring that up? And I think it's super powerful. I truly do. What are some ways that you use to fill your tank? Or you suggest to your clients, obviously the veterans and families can use it. Because I think honestly, and we'll go back to Tony Robbins because we're both Tony Robbins, people. So stacking, right? The stacking exercise. You stack positive and negative, right? And then you blow up when the Jenga piece gets pulled out, the small one, right? At people. So how do you, some thoughts on filling your tank to the positive, obviously?
So for me, reading the Bible, also for myself, is listening to music.
Yeah.
I got a very wide range of music, and it's like, okay, I don't want to listen to that song right now. It's not bringing me good energy. I'll fast forward through it. And so listen to music, working out.
It's a fantastic one. Yeah.
And being out in nature is definitely a way for me to refill my cup. And also serving others helps me a lot. Sometimes it's physically draining for me because with Team Rubicon, it's either cutting trees or tarping roofs or mucking out a house, whatever the case may be. It's physically draining. However, I know the person on the other side of that will be in a better place to strive in life.
Yeah.
Once we're done.
I think those are all actually some of my favorites. And I know my aunt popped up here with the Bible, and I think that is some of the best ones. Obviously spiritually, nature, get your feet on the ground, just enjoy the birds for a minute, be present. I mean, those are some really great ones, Robert. Love it.
One of the things I do is play with our dog.
Love that one.
Yeah, play with our dog.
Yeah, filling their cup too.
Oh yeah,
because gosh knows they love it. What advice would you give veterans who struggle to reconcile their instinctual behaviors with the need for adaptability in civilian settings?
So the biggest thing is veterans won't do is talk about their problems. They won't talk about their traumas. In order to move past it, then you've got to move through it. And you've got to go back and look at the trauma and look at it from a different perspective. With Warriors and Queens, we call it change your perspective. And we can do an exercise and takes them through it, and they look at it from a different perspective with the knowledge they have now and what happened back then. And another thing is if you're holding on to a past trauma, let's say your buddy got killed in Iraq or Afghanistan or wherever the case may be, and you want to honor that person, you're mad constantly because they got killed and you couldn't save them. How are you honoring that individual by constantly being angry? Is that how they would want you to live?
Yeah. I absolutely love that. A friend of mine, he's been on the show a couple of times as well. Danny O'Neill. He lost 23 total between in service and suicide. He wears their dog tags, and a dog tags with all their names on it, and he's phenomenal. Love the guy, and he literally that's the way he lives. Is how am I going to honor them? So that's very cool. You bring that up. I think it's super important to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So understanding, how am I going to say this? Understanding and understanding instinct in the real world. Okay, so you're like you said, you're at work. Someone asks you to do something. People snap, right? Especially in today's world, there's a lot of help that's needed out there with emotions and mindset. So, on a different perspective from the business side of it, for the business owners out there and the leaders on that realm, corporate world, et cetera. What are some tools or tricks that you conditioning, if you will, on those tools? Because just telling somebody a tool doesn't work. It has to be practiced, right? Before it really sets in. What are some thoughts on how they can help the veterans and their families, et cetera, first responders to bring that into their realm as far as their company themselves?
So put your employees first.
Yes.
And listen to what they're saying. Don't make it about you as the leader. Make it about the employees, because the more you listen to the employees, you ultimately have to make the final decision on things.
Mhm.
However, if you make it where the employees have intent or intend to do something, then they have buy-in and they want to build the company up. They're just not there for a paycheck.
Yeah.
And the same way with veterans, sometimes we get out of the Army. I started out at $29,000 a year when I got out of the Army. And fortunate enough, I went to work for a school that had a military setup for it.
Fantastic.
And they understood
Yeah.
that, hey, look, you got ideas and we know your background. So they would listen. Veterans have a wide range of information. Let's say an infantryman. Yeah, that infantryman was taught how to fight a battle, but that's not the only job he did while he was in the Army. He might have been down in the motor pool working on vehicles all day long, or wherever the case may be. So there's a wide range of experiences that veterans have.
Yeah. I love that you bring that up. And it's not only what they did physically, right, and learned and mastered, even, I'll even say, depending on how long you're in and how serious they were about it. But let's talk, and I know we're totally changing subject, but it's organic conversation. This is just what we do, Robert. So the thing I think that's as important as that, or even more so, and a lot of veterans don't really realize, and this is something I work a lot with, they don't realize that skill sets with leadership, grit, tenacity, all of these things that they really were conditioned and trained that they can use for their own businesses, working for other people. That, I mean, if you have an employee that will figure things out on their own, let's just start there, right? An employee that will figure things out on their own, how valuable is that? And that is conditioned in the military. I don't care what service you're in, it's one of their core values of figure it out, good or bad at the time. It's there. So speak about that a little bit, if you will, some of the things that you learned and that you use every day, because they're so invaluable. And again, a lot of veterans don't realize they're even in there until they're brought out.
Yeah. So with basically the American soldiers or service members are taught to think outside the box.
Absolutely.
And in many cases, that's why a lot of people don't like fighting us, because you can't put us in a box. It's like, as soon as something happens, it's like, oh, well, let's do this then. So we have those skill sets of thinking outside the box. and we can get laser focused on things. However, we also have a very wide range of thinking outside the box and coming up with solutions that might seem kind of off the wall at the time, but until you try it, it might work.
Absolutely. And in civilian life, okay, human life, I'm not going to say civilian life, but use it as much as you can. The more that you fail, the more you win, because as long as you learn from it and don't just point fingers and blame somebody else or whatever the case may be, how much further faster will that really get you when you really take the time and say, man, I screwed that up. What can I learn from it? And how much better will I be the next time I try to do it? Right? That's really the game changer. Would you say as well?
Exactly. One of the things I told my daughter this when she was probably 12, 13. I said, go out and fail. And I got berated in Starbucks by a lady that heard me. I said, go out and fail as many times as you can. I said, you don't fail until you stop getting up.
Amen.
And I got berated by a lady in Starbucks. Why are you going to tell your daughter to go out and fail? I was like, because that's the way you learn.
Yeah.
The failure is what don't work is not a failure. It's something that didn't work. Let's find something else. Let's just tweak something and move another 2 millimeters forward.
Yeah. People hear me say about 2 millimeters all the time. I'm not going to do it again. That ship can have to. The ship, guys, when you change 2 millimeters, you change the spoke, the steering wheel, whatever the case may be, 2 millimeters. What's that look like 5 days from then, 5 years from then? You're in a totally different place. Just make those small changes. And Robert, I'm going to say something. I would love to see that lady in Starbucks' daughter compared to your daughter in 20 years.
Well, thank you.
By that learning, she's an amazing young woman already. I know that, but just when people they don't see that big picture and they're so close-minded, and I hope she took that from you and actually learned. I hope she learned from that experience. So we're getting pretty close to the end here. So a couple of quick things. First, I want to remind everybody, because I didn't do it in the beginning of the show, on the top right-hand corner, there's a blue QR code. Please scan that. It takes you to empowerperformancestrategies.com for people that are listening on the podcast forums later. Again, that's empowerperformancestrategies.com. There are books I've written. There are Facebook groups for both veterans and their families. Get involved in the community. Be involved and join us. With that said, Robert, how do people reach out to you?
So you can reach me via email at robert@msmcoaching.com. If you're looking more into the relationship realm, you want to figure out how to work on your relationship and make it better, you can go to warriorsandqueens.com.
Awesome. That's fantastic. So as you know, because you've been on here multiple times now, you and your wife. So if you can give us 3 tips to get veterans further faster.
So take a moment and breathe.
Mm-hmm.
Open your heart and pause. Everything that is done by somebody's reaction or actions is not directed to do you harm. And enjoy life. It's
Amen.
meant to be fun.
Yeah, our brains get in the way too often with survival mode. Our brains are designed to, for survival. We go back to the caveman days, right? That you started off with. So, yeah. Fantastic tips, my friend. Anything else you have before we go?
No, it's amazing. I thank you for having me on again. We'll have to do this again sometime.
See you in like 2 weeks. We'll reach out. We got to get that beautiful wife of yours on here as well. So
yeah, we'll get her on.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys are amazing when you're on together as well. I enjoy all the time, but I do enjoy that very much. So I just want to close out here, guys, and thank you, our listeners. Time, most valuable resource we have as human beings. We do not get it back. And Robert, I want to thank you again for being on the show and spending the time with us, my friend.
Well, thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. We'll see you in 2 weeks or something. I don't
All
know.
right.
We'll
See
talk.
you.
All right, everybody, we're out of here.
Thank you for joining us on another insightful journey of Your Thoughts, Your Reality podcast with your host, Michael Cole. We hope the conversation sparked some thoughts that resonate with you. To dive deeper into empowering your thoughts and enhancing your reality, visit empowerperformancestrategies.com. Remember, your thoughts shape your reality, so make them count. Until next time, stay inspired and keep creating the reality you desire. Catch you on the next episode.